So what I'll do is I'm gonna have a really long reverb, but the harder you strum, the shorter it becomes. So like light strumming sounds like this. strum goes through, and the reverb just kind of adds later. I'm going to do the exact opposite on the delay. So the louder you strum, the more delay you get. So hopefully that's going to be interesting to see. So almost no delays.
I heard the word utilitarian a lot. Is that the goal? Just like anybody can use it, or does it have a kind of a genre it's aiming for?
To be honest, like the reason why we're demonstrating a lot of the extreme settings is simply because of the conditions of NAMM. Like it's a lot of noise, and it's just not the perfect environment to show like subtle changes in the reverb. But then in my opinion, that's exactly what the pedals are mostly for. It's about, for example, you have a nice reverb setting, but whenever you like start playing on the higher notes, you want to increase the level just a bit, but take the tone down just a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it's all about, to me personally, as one of the like key designers for this series, like for me personally, it's more about the subtle nuances of playing. But since we're at a trade show and it's important to just push the point across, and it's because it's so loud, we're just showing the really drastic settings.
Well, I was listening to it last night because I got a recording of it yesterday, and I could definitely hear it, and I know the audience can definitely hear it. Yeah. So even though we can't hear it at NAMM, the subtleties are at least going to come across.
Yeah, okay, I've got my reverb, and let's say that slightly louder strums are going to increase the level of the reverb. However, the higher up I go, the darker the reverb tone will become. That's going to be the setting here. So let's make it even much more subtle.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, so in this case, a louder strum will send more of the signal into the reverb algorithm, right? So that's another important part that should maybe help somebody understand this, the options here. So the level control can be configured whether it is the level of the input or whether it's the level of the mix. So if you set this to the mix, then you can get ducking or gated reverbs, because by strumming you manipulate the blend between the wet and the dry. However, when it's set for the input level, then it's how much signal even goes into the thing to form the tails.
And the pitch too, you can also make it so only your high notes have any of these characteristics as well.
Yeah, so the higher the note, the more signal from the guitar is sent into the reverb algorithm itself. So here I've got a louder strum will increase the amount of signal that gets sent into the signal. However, a higher pitch simultaneously will tone the EQ of the reverb down. So that means you get like darker reverb,
lower tone like you were earlier, kind of.
and then we can see like for example the pitch response on this kind of VU meter here. So as it begins doing this, like it's producing this CV that's closing the tone down. as I go back down, we're returning to the bright reverb. Yeah, so now another important thing to understand is that the setting up of it, the fiddling around with cables and the calibration and so on is not the point. The point is like that is you make one connection and you can leave it like this. I expect people that they'll probably leave it like this for weeks and so on. And the recalibration of the pitch is something you can do on the fly. So hold this down, play one note, and now this is my center. This is the point at which the change will start happening. So. So in this mode, which is the like straightforward following mode, it's kind of like this bouncing ball, the type of thing. So a louder strum. Can you see this on the thing? See, there's this like I kick the bouncing ball up, and then that's the knob. That's the knob movement.
You can slow down the bounce of the ball, make it bounce slower.
That's the deeper setting here, so and that's kind of like the knob adjustment happening. So there's depth, there's a bit more depth to it, and ideally you would configure it to fit your playing style and your instrument and where the pedal is in your signal chain, and the pitch thing can be calibrated on the fly. So now this is the center point, and I can
And for guitar players that are not into CV and not as into synthesizers like myself and like a lot of my audience, the basic just input or the level of your playing is probably the best way to start rather than the pitch. The pitch is a little more complex.
The pitch is more fun, to be honest. Like, yeah, it's because you can do interesting things with that. But like, in my opinion, it's important. Like, for example, like let's even pretend that these pedals are not here. Let's just say we have a pitch follower and a volume knob, okay? So what you can do with that is you can make a compressor, basically, because naturally, like, the output from somewhere up here is quieter than a string like this. So you could say that like here on the fretboard, at this note, I wanted to gradually start increasing the volume of my instrument. Yeah, even if we imagine that these pedals are not here, if we just imagine that we have one volume knob and a pitch tracker, and see what I mean? So if I set the pitch to here, to somewhere on the 12th fret on the middle strings, then I could set it up so that the higher up I go, it just starts gradually creating it like a volume automation that boosts me up. You know,
this is like digital audio workstation automation in pedal form.
Basically, that's kind of another way of looking at it, because you just said that if you have no grasp of what a CV is and so on. It's just like automating the parameters based on something.
Yeah, I think my audience would be much more familiar with a digital audio workstation and automation, but the idea of controlling features with your voltage or with your pitch is, especially with the pitch, is very interesting.
Yeah, so that's the idea. Like, for example, in the imaginary example that we just talked about, it's like you set the note, which everything above or below that note is going to start to roll off or increase the knob, the volume knob or so on, the tone knob, and you can just kind of go from there and imagine the same principle at play in the pedal. Here I can make the reverb's decay time grow after you cross a certain note threshold, and I can make the chorus jump out a little bit more and get faster slightly once I reach a certain dynamic threshold, and so on. So that's the idea.
Yeah.
Hope that helps you visualize the process.
That is much more comprehensive.
I want to just say that like this series is certainly good enough, like certainly deep enough so that you can sit down and nerd out and you kind of like experiment.
But how big is the instruction manual?
Currently we have a video, you know.
Well, video's better these days anyways. It's going to give you more function.
I mean, this is not, you know, this pedal does not come with reading glasses, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to get worried. So we've tried to reduce those scary things such as CV and modulation and whatever to the absolute core basics. You know, it's how strong you strum the strings can influence any parameter on anything, and how high your note is can be also, you know, routed to anything.
I like that you guys know that it's scary to guitar players to talk about CV, because that's being very aware of the fact that as guitar players, we're pretty simple people. We like our guitar pedals, but we like them to be simple as well. And when I saw these, I was a little scared. I'm like, these are the only pedals at NAMM that I didn't want to try myself, but they're actually pretty simple to use now that you showed me.
CV is like the expression pedal, the basic expression pedal that you use. That's also a control voltage. It goes from like 0 to, let's say, 1.
Expression pedal is CV as well? Control voltage. I see. So it's the same thing, except your expression pedal is now how hard you play or what note you play.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like you can imagine how you work an expression pedal. You're also generating a control voltage.
I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for the interview.
I'm glad that helped.
Hey guys, it's Bob. I just want you to know, do not subscribe to this guy. Do not watch his videos. Definitely do not click on another video, because he doesn't use a tube screamer. He leaves me underneath the bed, guys. I'm under a bed. Before this video, I was in a bed, and he just took me out to take pictures of me just to humiliate me. Don't subscribe.